Okay, so let's move on. So our next story, okay, is about a film that is going to be coming out um, at the end of this year, and it's very interesting to see what people say about this. Okay, and that is Killers of the Flower Moon. And the reason why this is important, okay, is because the costume designer Jacqueline West was at a masterclass and she was talking about, she gave a shout out to Martin Scorsese and she teased Dune, the sequel to Dune, in some details. So this comes from Deadline. Experienced feature film heads of departments tend to be discreet about the productions they've worked on prior of the world premieres, out of respect for the directors, not to mention the NDAs. The Reverend in June Part 1 costume designer Jacqueline West could not resist giving a shout out to Martin Scorsese's upcoming feature, Killers of the Flower Moon. However, at the end of the masterclass on Tuesday, she had a couple of comments. When the moderator, Richard Payne, the Columbia University professor of film studies, was about to move on to take questions from the floor, West interjected, requesting one last word on her career trajectory. After Dune Part 1, I had the most incredible experience of my film career. I went to work with Martin Scorsese. I can't talk about the film yet because nothing's been released, but I can just say it has a combination of someone I've always wanted to work with my absolute dream project. It's called Killers of the Flower Moon, and it was brilliantly done, not just on my part, but by everybody. So, um, quizzed by Deadline after on what compelled her to make the shout out, West said, "My husband said that I worked with Scorsese. Okay, now you can quit. That's the pinnacle." Oh, the book, and the book was totally captivating. The native cast was incredible in the acting. Liddy Gladstone is incredible. The images were thrilling. It looked amazing. I watched it all being shot, and I haven't seen any of it. West revealed that the film star Leonardo DiCaprio has seen it, however, and told her it was a masterpiece. I was talking to Leo about it. We had lunch before I came here, and he said, "Jackie, I think we worked on a masterpiece." I thought I thought for Leo to say that was something. He doesn't say that lightly. He's been in the business since he was a little boy. So she actually had gone on, who's close to DiCaprio since they worked together and since The Reverend. West is one of the most respected costume designers in the business, along scoring nominations for Philip Kaufman's Quills, David Fincher's The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Reverend, and Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part One. So Um, here she goes on to say about not only some more of the Kill of the Flowers Moon, but Dune Part 2. Her comments further stoke anticipation about Scorsese's $200 million Apple-backed adaptation of David Grinn's best-selling book about the serial murder of members of the oil-wealthy Osage Nation in the 1920s Oklahoma. Expectations are high that the film will premiere at Cannes in May, but West said whether, quote, Marty had released the film at the festival, end quote. West, during the masterclass, she talked about Dune Villeneuve's Denis Villeneuve's Part 2, which is now in post. She revealed that initially she had turned down Denis Villeneuve to work on it um, on the back of The Reverend. I said, "I don't do sci-fi. It's not my thing." I said, "No." He hired someone else, and I guess he was happy because he called my agent a second time and said, "Can I just talk to her?" Mary Perrin, who produced The Reverend and was producing Dune, got me in the office and put me on FaceTime with him on a big screen. He was so compelling. "I want you to do it because I don't want it to look like sci-fi. I want it to be classical. I don't want it to look like a video game." West revealed she had a personal connection with Dune, Dune's novels, linked to the fact that she lived on a houseboat close to the English writer and philosopher Alan Watts, where Dune creator Frank Herbert would sometimes go to write. "I'm showing my age. Our houseboat was about 30 feet away from Alan Watts's boat. He would give all he would give all weekend psychedelic parties. It was quite a sense back then in the Bay Area. West said Dune Part 2 is more labor intensive than Dune Part 1. We made a lot of costumes. In Part 2, you really dive in the world of Dune. We get to see what the Emperor's world would look like. We go to his planet. We spend a lot of time on Gidal Prime, the Harkon planet. We spend a lot of time in Stellar Stargen's world. Um, it was brilliant. He, so talking about Austin Butler, he was pretty fabulous in it. All the worlds get expanded. It was about creating three separate, different worlds, also revisiting them. The age-old ones in these costumes that almost look like just Egyptian mummies. I think it's visually stunning. The sets, the choreographing, and the concepts. So, okay, let's talk about this. Couple things. Number one, this is one of the most anticipated movies of this year, and it's all going to be all the way in November. November is going to be a packed month, by the way. Okay, you've got this, you've got the Marvels, and you have a couple of other films. I think one more Disney film. Nonetheless, this is interesting because to say it was more labor intensive than the original. Number two, the costumes were more intricate, and we go to different worlds. So she's teasing that. I like the fact that um, I saw Dune in IMAX, so I had not. This is what I would call a second level type of um, movie. There is not only the main story, there's stories within the story, and I think that's important. Um, and it's one of those things where, um, yeah, I think that this is going to be a great, um, a great movie, and how it's done. Um, so I'm really looking forward to this. I was fascinated to hear what she had to say, and yeah, it's one of those things where I think that this is going to be a fun movie. And when I say fun, I don't mean like comedy or romantic, romantic comedy or haha funny. This is going to be a fun movie for those people that know of the movie. They've read the books. They are fans of the world. Um, I think that we're going to see a lot of things that you didn't see in the first film. And don't forget, I mean, this photo doesn't really have it, but we have three new cast members coming. Okay, we have Florence Pugh, we have Austin Butler, and then we have somebody else. That's big. I mean, Austin Butler, of course, is riding high. I mean, even though he didn't win on Sunday, he's still one of the hottest actors, in doing projects right now. Florence Pugh, I mean, started in a Marvel movie with Scarlett Johansson, did a whole, you know, um, did a whole series on Disney Plus. You know, I think this is going to be a good, solid film. And to say that the choreographic, the costumes and the choreography and everything else, that's it. That's interesting. Which makes me wonder if this doesn't get some because he got shut out last time. It would make me wonder if this Dune doesn't get 4, 5, maybe 6. No, I'm guessing. I have no inside knowledge behind you. I think it's just a guess. 4 or 5 or 6 nominations at the Oscars next year. I mean, it's all under the line, of course. We're talking about, cinematography. We're talking about editing. We're talking about costume design. We're talking about things like that. Um, so that would be interesting. I wouldn't even be shocked. This is a stretch because I highly doubt it's going to get any acting nominations. I wouldn't be shocked to see this actually get a Best Picture nomination. I know. I look. I'm think, but because it's um it's one of those movies that the Academy kind of likes, right? It's a deep storytelling with, enriched with everything else? Who knows? Um, I definitely think though that's a stretch. That's a stretch. Anyways, what do you guys think about the comments of what she had to say? Are you interested in Dune 2? Did you see the first one? And if so, did you see it on streaming or did you see it in IMAX or did you see it in theaters when you had the chance first? Let me know what you think down in the comment section.